So I did this drawing back in like, I'm gonna say April, and I didn't like it. For some reason, something about it just threw me off, and I thought, you know what, let's try and go back to it today. So hi everyone, I'm Ward and welcome to my channel Wardrawsalot, and today we're gonna finish a drawing I gave up on. So rarely is it ever that I just completely drop a drawing and I'm like, I don't care anymore. I usually like drawing it completely in its entirety and coloring it in, like, usually within the same week. I'm somebody who's very, like, I guess, like, task-oriented, right? So, like, if you put something in front of me, I have to finish it, or else I'm gonna go crazy thinking about how I didn't finish it. And since this is, like, in the second page of the sketchbook, every time I open up the sketchbook, it's there, and it's like, hee hee, what about me? And I sit there and I'm like, I don't want to look at you, so leave me alone. So finally this week I was like, you know what, why don't we just try coloring in the picture and see how we feel about it from there. I feel like sometimes when we're doing a sketch, we get so involved in the sketch and where it's going to go and how it's going to look like, or if we like the outcome or whatever, that sometimes we forget the bigger picture here is to actually complete the piece. But I definitely feel like that is so much easier said than done. I feel like a lot of us, when we're drawing, if the sketch is like dookie, we immediately trash it. We're like, you know what, never mind. Either you erase it off the page, you rip it up, you just move on to a new piece of paper, and you abandon it. There's like so many different things, but I feel like a lot of the drive to complete a painting or a drawing or anything of the sort, any kind of artwork, is how does it look like in its beginning stages. But I have to remember that not all of the process of the art is what I'm gonna like. I love sketching, of course, and I love the coloring, and I love everything about art. But the processes sometimes, when they're broken down into their individual parts, can be a little overwhelming. I think that, like, when it comes to you looking at a piece of blank paper or canvas or even a digital screen where you create digital art, if you don't have an idea already in mind or something that, like, you know, you want to do, looking at it can be like, I don't know, like like an effort. Like sitting there and thinking about what you're gonna draw and how it's gonna get done and like what kind of poses you want to do, or if you want to incorporate a background, or like there's so many different aspects as to what goes down in an art piece that truly can become like so stackable on top of each other, like to the point where you can't take a bite out of it. It becomes more overwhelming than anything. And I think that that's okay. Sometimes when we're a creative person and you're in a process of doing anything, and this doesn't just have to be directly with art, it could be honestly with a lot of things, like people who write, for example, looking at the piece of paper or like, again, the computer screen and thinking about how you're going to start writing this like screenplay, a book, or if you're somebody who's like doesn't have the motivation to go ahead and do forth with all that stuff, it becomes difficult, especially because if you like the thing that you do, now you kind of almost have a pressure to feel like you have to do this thing just because it makes you feel good, right? It's strange to say, but it's almost like a dopamine rush, right? Like, I love the whole art process because I'm like, hell yeah, like I'm doing it, everything's looking good, but at the same time, when it doesn't look good, I'm like, damn, what am I doing? But sometimes an art piece doesn't have to be the best piece of work that you do. It could just be the art itself. It doesn't have to be this masterpiece every single time. You don't have to outdo yourself every single time, unless, you're that kind of personality type. Sometimes people just want to draw, and that's perfectly fine. Sometimes I get into the habit of telling myself this isn't good enough, and it's because of the fact that I feel like I put myself in this box, right, where I have to do better than the last thing, or I have to become better because I've already done it the one time and it has to be better the next time. Nothing has to be better. Nothing has to be more than what I want it to be to make me happy, right? And that goes for like a lot of things, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to exceed expectations of anybody. It just has to make you happy, and you just have to love it. Which I usually do. With every video, I think towards the end, I usually tell myself how much I love the artwork and how it came out and how happy I am with it. And that's usually because I stake it out and go all the way through with the drawing, no matter how I feel about it in the beginning stages. And I kind of forgot to do that with this guy over here. There's a little smirk looking at me right now. Like, I drew him up and then I was like, I don't know, I don't like the way this looks, and I don't know, there was something about it that just felt off, and I was like, I didn't even give him a chance. Like, that's like something I usually don't do, so that's almost like a sense of like, I don't know how to describe it except like what is not me. That's very not me to just give up halfway on something and then be like, forget about it. I usually go back in, I tweak what I like, but sometimes it's good to just leave something alone and then come back to it however many whatever's later, whether it's minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. In this case it was months, so this was back in April and it's now July, so a good like 3-4 months have gone by, and I was like, you know what, let's actually sit down and draw this guy out and like color him in and make like tweaks and adjustments to what I want for it to, you know, look the way I want it to. And that's a good thing that I did that, because I ended up really liking this piece. So ultimately, walking away from something is one of the best techniques that you can do for your art, especially if you're like somebody like me who goes really deep into a sketch. I'm talking about my sketches they don't take like no fucking 30 minutes, bro. I'm sketching for like hours. I sketch for like a whole, if I'm sketching like for one of these sketchbook breads, for example, I'm sketching for like at least 2-3 hours on these. If it's multiple characters, you're gonna add like another hour per character. The Bimbo sketchbook spread, sketching that alone took like 4 or 5 hours. I go deep in that shit and I don't come out of the trenches until I'm done. But when that happens, you kind of like fail to look at it like in a proper light. Sometimes you're so used to seeing the proportions in front of you laid down instead of up in front of your face, or like maybe you're trying to get something right and it's just not happening. Close the book, walk away, take whatever you need, get a snack, I don't know, take a shit. That's what I usually do. Then come back and be like, okay, this is what I had wrong with it, or like, you know, come back the next day and be like, okay, here it is in front of me, this is what it looks like, this is what I want to change. So, you know, give yourself time to actually create the piece the way you want it to, and be forgiving with yourself when it comes to making these pieces, because, you know, you don't have to be such a harsh critic on yourself. A lot of the time we end up telling ourselves we could do better, but it's never in a sense of like, you can do better as if you can, what's the word? I'm trying to grab the word and it's running away from me. I'm trying to grab it by his neck. It's never in a sense of like optimistic, like an optimistic way, or a way that's like, you know, you can do it. Like, it's always like almost, hold on, let me collect myself. Okay, I got it. It's never in like the positive manner. It's always in a negative one. Almost like we're kind of shaming ourselves. At least that's what I do. Okay, and I know a lot of artists that do the same. That's kind of like, oh, you could do way better than this. Like, telling yourself that. But like, if we could figure out, or at least I know me, I don't know about all of us. When I say we, I tend to talk in like third person / and an all-together sense, and it's just the way I talk. It's like a bad habit that I've had since I was a kid. I used to refer to myself in third person. I used to be like Ward blank blank blank. Like, it was a really bad habit until like somewhere in college where like I noticed people were like, what the fuck, why do you do that? So I had to change it. So that's like a thing that I do. But yes, if I figure out a way to tell myself positively that I can do better instead of in a sense of almost like shame or defeat, then I think that would make the world of a difference. There, now that I've got that nice little yap sesh out the way, let's talk about the sketchbook spread. Is it a spread? Page? Piece? One of the 3 options here. We'll talk about the drawing. There we go. So, the character is, of course, very Ward trademark, okay? The character has, like, nice fluffy hair, along with, like, these really plump lips. The shirt has, like, this kind of heart cut out in the middle, and it's very much a crop top. The skirt, I wanted to go with, like, a like latex kind of skirts, black latex, shiny. That's why I left like the white in there to see how shiny it was. The stockings I had to do because I gave him like these massive calves and like, you know, muscular legs, and I thought that they would look really good coming out of the like stocking, like the sheer parts. I had to give him this like massive white like fur coat. I love drawing fur coats. There's something like truly primal in me that whenever I see a fur coat on like a dude, I'm like this is it right here. This is like pinnacle peak male. So so I decided to put it on a lot of my characters, and this was definitely one of them. I really like the way the fur came out. I love doing the shading for it because I really like the separation of where the fur is, whether it's behind him or if it's in a certain type of shadow because of where his arm is positioned. So I really love the way that came out on him. His accessories, I decided to kind of do close-up wow, I guess the accessories are virgins. Cool. I did close-up versions of the accessories on the top of the page, and it's like you could see the jewel like heart in its like close-up form, and you could see the little details on it, along with the little beaded heart belts that kind of not belts because it's wrapped around his waist. So that's kind of there as a nice little accent. I made the earring kind of match along with just the little heart clips in his hair, just to kind of call back onto the heart accessory around his waist. I also have like a bunch of washi tape just sitting in a little container, wishing and hoping to be used. So I decided to look through them and found this one that was kind of like very sparkly hearts, and I was like, you know what, this kind of fits the theme of this drawing, so why don't I go ahead and use them. Granted, these were like, I got these years ago off of Amazon, and they don't stick for the life of them, dude. Like, I even will use glue sometimes under them and they still won't stick. They're like the worst quality washi tape I've ever used in my life, and I sit there like, oh man, I forget why I don't use these. It's because they suck. So I try and just like, I thug it out with them. I put them on the paper, I glue them down, I tape them on the back, whatever I need to kind of get the use out of them. But granted, they're still really cute designs, so that's why I still try and make an effort to go ahead and use them in the pieces, because I feel like they really fill up the page nicely and give a cute accent, and they don't make the page as blank as it was before. Like before I put the washi tape down, it was really just big vast empty space, especially because this drawing is very like left side orientated, where a majority of the art is on the left side of the paper and up, so you have like a lot of empty space on the sides. So I think that adding the washi tape accent really helped elevate the look of the drawing. After everything, of course, I added the white highlights, and I think that that really brought everything together. He looks super cute. I'm so glad I went back in and actually finished the piece and gave it a chance, because I think that this is so far one of the best colored works that I have in the book. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye!